Hello, everyone. My name's Ashley. I am here with Gav, and I'm here with Chris, and we're here on our Friday evening with the Talkin Kop. We're going to preview West Ham. We're also going to touch upon Mo Salah signing a new contract, which, if you want to call this Mo Salah Day, you're welcome to do so. So I would be remiss if I did not start with that news. Gav, what's your reaction to Mo Salah signing up for 2 years? According to reports, wages are on par with what he's pretty much on now. Possible bonus structure takes him up a little bit higher. What are your thoughts on the deal, the length of the time, securing him, the general stuff?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I'm really happy that there's none of this 2 years with an option of a tour thing going around the place. Going to be honest, because what we've had to endure for the last 6-8 months will definitely happen again in 2 years. If it's like, oh, should he get one? Should he not get one? He's 3 great games, and all of a sudden it's, pay him what he wants. And then when he has 3 bad games, it's like, we really need to get rid of him. It's brilliant. I think, you've seen all the footage today. He looks so happy with himself. No doubt all the money he's getting, but listen, he deserves it. But he looks, a lot of the stuff you talked about today and the clips were about him feeling at home at Anfield, at the football club, at the AXA, his family most importantly, feel it, this is their home. Not even that it feels like it's home, it is their home. And, reports coming out that when he sat down with Liverpool, he told Liverpool, I don't really want to play anywhere else, I want to play here. So it sounded like it was positive from Mo Salah's side from the start. But it's 2 years, it brings him up to 35 years of age, I think it will. From his point of view, he's telling everyone he wants to win. Everyone knows he wants to win, but I think he's telling people, look, I think I can win with Liverpool. He's massive faith in the squad that's there, what's possibly to come in, the manager, the hierarchy. Mo Salah must have a lot of confidence in what Liverpool are trying to do. And listen, he's had a couple of bad games. It's okay to say that, but the overreaction to those couple of bad games have been a bit mad from people. It's 2 years. It gives Liverpool a chance to get the 2 best years out of him. He's been brilliant. He's 33 and he's been unbelievable. It gives Liverpool a chance to get 2 more excellent years out of him, fingers crossed. But also gives Liverpool a chance to plan for the future with a really solid foundation to it. Not something where, they'll plan for their future on their terms rather than, oh fuck, we've lost Mo Salah. We're losing 30 goals a season, nearly minimum at this stage. And we have to go and, throw a load of money at something and hope it works. I just think it's really good for Mo Salah. It's really good for us. It's really good for the football club. And they could have done it a bit earlier. I'm not going to lie. But you know what? The timing of it, although we wanted it done earlier, the timing of it feels really, really good with this little thing of the league title to go and sort out. So I'm absolutely delighted with it overall. Everything about it.
Yeah, definitely positive. Chris, do you echo Gav's sentiments about it all being positive? And what did you think about the club's announcement and maybe separating Virgil and Mo, letting Mo have his moment in the spotlight, literally and figuratively? We saw him on that throne, which I'm not really sure where they found that in the prop department. But what did you think about the announcement? And what do you think that kind of does for Liverpool going forward as sort of a statement of intent?
It's probably Mo's own throne anyway. He just brought it in.
Just has it in his house.
Yeah, it was in the back of the car. Yeah. The telling thing with Mo was, he said the most excited person was his daughter. And I think that's always been the telling thing with Virgil and with Mo, is they've got young families. And they ideally probably don't also want to uproot them. So that also helps. It is a signal of intent. So this is going to raise expectations. I know Gav's going to hate this, transfers for the summer. But it is going to raise expectations because there's not a chance in hell, as much as they love the club, Van Dijk and Salah are signing for two years of transition. They're signing to win now. And that's going to be the answer. So while Liverpool have got a plan for the future and they've got a 2-year grace period now to bed in the long-term future of what do you do when they leave, which is the right way, which is what we wanted to do. There's going to be no excuse next year. Mo Salah and Van Dijk are thinking next year they're winning the league again. And they're going to go deeper in Europe. That's the challenge. And to be honest, I think the manager sort of echoes that way. I quite like they split it apart. I did like the idea of them both being announced today because I think someone on Twitter put it's the 11th of April, 11 and 4, so could announce them both. Would have been quite a nice little marketing trick, but I think it's a good idea to split them, give them both their sort of like the flowers, the big moments, because the big name players, and look, everyone needs their ego stroking every now and again. So Mo could have his moment today. He announced Virgil, hopefully say beat West Ham on Sunday, then hopefully announce Virgil straight after it, and then that really just sets the week up. Then the next 3 games is, in my opinion, you win the next 3, the league is officially boxed. I mean, the league's going to get won anyway, but I think if you win the next 3, I think that'll do. I think that'll do then, because I don't see anything catching us after that. So, but West Ham are tricky, but I can't say anything other than the Liverpool win on Sunday, because our record against West Ham is, I think we haven't lost against West Ham since 2013, Brendan Rodgers' world. So our home record against West Ham is actually very, very good. So happy, look forward to it. It'd be very Mo now to bang a hat trick after signing his new contract, though.
Yeah, well, speaking of Mo, he is on his longest run of no goals and no assists. And I say that, it's also 4 games. So we say longest run in quotation marks because for Mo Salah, any game that he's not scoring seems like, all of a sudden he's falling off a cliff. Gav, do you think that this kind of news will help kind of set him up for hopefully a big performance on Sunday? Do you think he'll respond to that? Do you think that we're maybe overblowing the Mo Salah drought a little bit, especially with the right back situation being a little bit out of whack? I mean, there was one stat that I read that said that Jones only passed to Mo Salah 3 times over the entirety of that game at Fulham. So could we perhaps see the true Mo Salah come back if perhaps Bradley comes to the fore this weekend?
Look, I don't think this contract news today. I don't think it'll be on. I don't think it's going to affect Mo Salah that much, because he didn't sign the deal yesterday. Let's be honest. He didn't sign it the day before. He probably has a sign before Fulham. He probably has a sign. He could have a signed a month for all we know. So he has been poor in a few games when he's actually had that contract done and dusted. So I don't think it's a massive thing for Mo Salah. I think in terms of, I signed that deal on Friday and now let's go on Sunday, I don't think that's the case. Yeah, I think it's been overblown a little bit. I remember Mo Salah going 8 games without a goal in 18-19, I think, and he scores away at Southampton in that 3-1 win when he runs from the halfway line and bends her in the far corner. And I think he had about 8 games without a goal at that stage. And that happens to players. Teams take risks and say, right, we're just going to absolutely try to close this player down, whether it's Mo Salah or it's a Messi or whoever it might be. Mind you, Messi probably didn't go 8 minutes without scoring a goal, to be fair to him. But I think it is over-egged a little bit. I think he's the one that's suffered for me the most out of the right-back situation. Because, all this got mixed up with the whole Trent news, and he's going to Madrid, and Madrid are working hard on this deal and stuff. And there was an awful lot of, well, fuck Trent, and all this sort of stuff. And I think we missed the boat a little bit when we were watching Liverpool play. It stood out a mile against Newcastle in the League Cup final, a mile. Like, we'd no outlet to get the ball to him. And when we did get the ball to him, there was very little movement, because the right back at the time, Kwanzaa, who I've nothing against him playing right back, if needs be, but he's not going to offer you that. He's not going to offer that overlap. He's not going to offer you the quality of ball to get you away, either inside towards a centre back or outside a full back, wherever it might be. So yeah, he's being poor. I think for me, I'd kind of look and go, Mo, it's not happening for you, but could we not do something to try get you into the game? Do something to try get you into the game. Even try something, just to see if it comes off. So yeah, look, being poor, a little bit of an overreaction, yeah, because like Curtis Jones is a better footballer than Jarell Kwanzaa, but Curtis Jones has to deal with the fact that he's a midfielder trying to play fullback. So one kind of negates the other. Kwanzaa will be more comfortable where he is. Jones will be more comfortable on the ball, but they kind of negate each other. They cancel each other out there. I think the big thing for this is going to be the crowd on Sunday, because I think the Liverpool crowd around Anfield are going to know Liverpool need a bit of a lift here. It's not being the best the last couple of games, I would argue 4 or 5 games. We're going into this one Sunday. Everyone is going West Ham. Leicester, Spurs. If you win those three, you're on 82 points. Arsenal can only get 83. And if Arsenal drop any points in those 3 games, Liverpool are confirmed as champions. And I think the Anfield crowd know that, right, this is when we need to put the foot down now. Added to the fact that Mo Salah is going to go onto that pitch and everyone knows he's 2 years left on his deal. And everyone kind of knows that Virgil van Dijk has another 2 years in him as well. And the other one in Trent won't be playing. So there's no negativity there. It's all positive. I think this thing has sparked the fans more than I think it will spark Mo Salah. And if we can get Bradley on the pitch and we can get a fullback on the pitch that knows the fullback role inside out, no matter how young he is, it's only going to benefit us. And I think you'll see Mo Salah being much more heavily involved in football games from here on in.
Chris, you probably know the ground more than any of us here. You know, you've been there. You go there quite a lot. We get a little bit jealous of you. But how do you think the crowd is going to react this weekend?
You like the pictures, didn't you?
I do like the pictures.
Yeah, it should be bouncing. I wish I was going. Unfortunately, my brother and sister don't want to give the season ticket to me, which is very mean, I think. But no, I would expect it to be a lively crowd. I think. Also, I think which probably will play into our favour a little bit is Liverpool know now it's 11 points. That's the magic number at the moment, and that's all they've got to focus on. So, irrespective of what Arsenal do at the moment, Liverpool just have to focus on 11 points until they're told, "Oh, Arsenal drop points, they do less." So, I think it'll suit Liverpool, and also Liverpool in the league don't like to do back-to-back losses. Very rarely happen on the Klopp. I don't think Slot's ever done back-to-back losses in the league. So I think some players want to prove a point because there was a lot of writing Liverpool off, and regardless of what they said, they do hear this, they do know what's being said, and I think they will want to stick it to a couple. I think midweek will have hurt them. Watching the Champions League, watching what PSG were great again. They battered Villa. I think Villa did well to get out of a 3-1 because I thought PSG were exceptional. But I'm sure they're looking at sides still in the Champions League going, that feels like an opportunity missed, so they want to sort of leave on a high. So I'm expecting Liverpool to do well. I think having a couple of key players back helps, gives us a bit more balance, and we'll see what happens.
We will see what happens. I mean, talking about West Ham a little bit, I mean, we have a couple of results so far this year against them. Both of them, we scored 5 goals, which, tends to maybe give us a false sense of confidence. But it is West Ham. They are kind of toward the bottom of the table. You've seen Potter come in, try to instill some new tactics. Numbers-wise, they actually aren't too dissimilar to when Lopetegui was in charge. Their shots are about the same. Their possession is up just slightly. Gav, are you expecting a different game this time around after those 5-1 and 5-0? Excuse me. Are you expecting a different game this time around, or are you thinking more of the same, even though there is a coaching change?
Yeah, I would expect a slightly different challenge from West Ham. When I looked at them under Lopetegui, I just thought everything he's trying to do just doesn't suit what they have. It just simply didn't. Jarrett Bowen is your most dangerous player, and he looked so cut off from the rest of the side. It was ridiculous. I laugh every time I think of that guy Lopetegui because he was with Wolves and it was like, this is a fucking disaster. And then West Ham go and do the same thing. And I'm sure someone else might have a go at it in the next 18 months as well. But it'll be a different challenge because if you look at Newcastle, you look at Everton, and you even look at Fulham, big centre backs or big centre forward, physical. Isaac is physical enough. You look at Beto is physical. You look at the guy I always forget the name of, Muniz, isn't it? Is that his name? Fulham.
Yeah.
And the other guy that used to wear the thing on his head because he hurt his head. Jimenez. I always forget his name. Physical. Want to back into you. Want to do so. I think in the sense that you're probably looking at probably Bowen and Kudos playing up front for West Ham. They're not as physical. They're going to try run channels. They're going to try get the ball to their feet. They're going to try run at you. It's a different challenge for Liverpool. But one I'm actually more confident over at the moment than Liverpool dealing with a physical kind of challenge. In terms of West Ham, I think they play 5 at the back with Potter. At least I think he used to do that at Brighton as well. Midfield wise, I think Souček, Paqueta, Ward-Prowse is back in favour there, isn't he? You'll probably have Wan-Bissaka. You'll probably have, is it Emerson playing left wing back?
Yeah, look at his last game. He did 4-5-1. Emerson didn't play. He's been going with that young kid at the moment, Oliver Scales. Looks a talented young fullback. They tend to go with him.
Then you've got Kilman and Todibo at the back, I think, maybe.
Yeah, with Wan-Bissaka. Then he does a midfield three of Alvarez, Souček, and Ward-Prowse, and then he just lets Kudus, Paqueta, and Bowen sort of interlink.
Yeah,
which, to be honest, that's a pain in the ass front three. To be fair,
yeah, I think when it comes to if they go 4-5-1 or they go 5-3-2, whatever, or 5-4-1, whatever they do, the problem with West Ham is when they come to Anfield, they never handle it well. They really don't. You know, there's probably 1 or 2 times where they might give Liverpool a bit of a scare or hold out for a little while. For me, if I'm Liverpool, I am looking to them games where we've won, and I'm looking to how we scored the goals, and I'm looking to, for me, that back three that he possibly will play. I think Liverpool can get it in a massive, massive way. And if you watch West Ham away at Arsenal were all about set pieces, and it wasn't the quickest football. And it gave West Ham chances to sit in, you know, pick their chances to kind of go on the break, and they get a goal, and they hold out and they win at the Emirates. You know, people are saying it's only West Ham, they win at the Emirates, but I think when they come up against this Liverpool side, in particular with the lineup, I think Liverpool might go with. I think Liverpool will be looking to be fast, to be really fast, really quick movement, you know, intense, and that's where I think the whole Salah contract, everyone will be buzzing going in, because I don't really care if it's 2:00 on a Sunday or 8:00 on a Wednesday night. Anfield has to be absolutely ready here. You know, they have to play their part. It has to be feral nearly when you get to 2:00 on Sunday, because this is what pushes players over the line. You know, when people just say they look tired and all, this is what pushes them over the line. I've been around Anfield loads of times, and Liverpool have been in a bit of a dip, and the crowd just decides, right, they flick a switch and they go, and next of all Liverpool just grow and grow and grow, and it becomes unbearable for teams. They just can't get out. Every bad touch they take, their whistle, that everything happens, and Liverpool just have this recipe for making it right. With West Ham, they're not a bad side. I just think they've been painted in a mad picture this year because of Lopetegui. I don't think they're a bad side. I think you'll see a big improvement in them next season, with Potter when he gets his things in place, and probably a couple of players in place. But overall, I don't know if they have enough weapons to hurt Liverpool, and I think Liverpool have enough weapons to hurt that back three if that's what he goes with.
I mean, Bowen is definitely probably the weapon of choice against Liverpool. He has a really strong record against us. I think he's been involved in 6 of the last 7 goals scored by West Ham versus Liverpool. And I think he also has more goals than anyone else, more goal involvements than anyone else against the Reds in his spell of time. So he's definitely one to keep an eye out for. Chris, do you think there's any argument for Füllkrug coming in as that big central kind of force to kind of unsettle Virgil and Konate the way that perhaps Muniz did in the Fulham game? Or do you think that he's going to come on possibly as an impact sub at about 60 minutes-ish, the way he has in the last game?
I think he comes on 60 minutes because one thing he hasn't got that he also has, Beto, Muniz, while they're all physical, they're quick. And I think that's the combination that I think was getting overlooked slightly. Whereas the one with Fulham, although he's big, he's not going to run past you, so you could almost like box him a little bit more. You know, the one to worry about is Paqueta can always find Bowen, because Paqueta's an excellent player.
He is an excellent player.
If it wasn't for his rumoured off-the-field shenanigans with betting, he'd be a Man City player. That's how good he is. He could play a higher level than West Ham. My concern is West Ham. I think last time we played them in the league at home, they caught us on the counter, which is what they're good at. The Achilles heel we've had this year has been wide free kicks, sort of just outside the box, wide free kicks. That seems to be the Achilles heel where we don't seem to pick up second balls. Corners in general, barring the cup final, we defend pretty well. But that wide free kick, which is a Ward-Prowse special, is a nightmare. We just don't seem to pick up the second balls at all, and that's where it's a bit frustrating. You could do a quick start and an early goal, which I know is what we say probably most weeks, but I do think this feels like one of those games you'd like to get an early goal, because I think the loss against Fulham is the first game we've lost this year in the league where we've took the lead. Only twice we've took the lead and not gone on to win. Villa away, where we drew, and that Fulham one. So normally for Liverpool, when they take the lead, they see it out, which is probably the surprising thing about the Fulham game. I was quite relaxed at 1-0, even at 2-1, because you kind of thought, well, they normally kick on, and there wasn't really the reaction. So maybe that's down to lack of balance. I'm not sure, but hopefully, we're going to see a better performance at home.
Yeah. Knock on wood for that one. It's been a while since we've had kind of this full week off between games. I haven't known what to do with myself over the course of this week. I've just sort of been pacing around watching little bits and pieces of the Champions League. Gav, how do you think that this team might be able to use that to their advantage? I know that Slot kind of talked about it actually being a difficult thing for him and his staff because they need to kind of create that energetic training routine in the middle of the week that would simulate a game. And he said that was actually quite difficult. Do you think that we might see any sort of benefits or negatives from having that week off and maybe possibly seeing a few people that we might not have seen before, like a Chiesa perhaps as a sub, getting a little bit of more time after, getting a little bit more viewing under Slot for the whole week?
It's a difficult one. I think, a lot was made over the international break. There was a really long international break. It felt about like it was a month long. It wasn't. It was about 2 weeks. It was probably the normal length international break. But because where we are, we're like, this is a month. And when people are like, it's not. But it felt like that. I know where Slot's coming from because these players are actually programmed to play twice. Sunday, Wednesday, whatever it might be. They are. It's just the way this Liverpool squad has been for the last 6, 7, 8 years. They're in Europe. They go deep an awful lot of time. The League Cup they've gone deep in, so you have midweek games there. The fact that they're out of everything else now, I understand where he's coming from. You're trying to keep that tempo of a Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, but it's actually just Sunday. And people will say, "Oh, well, it'll do the rest." I'm not sure they need the rest. I haven't gone along with this leggy argument. I just haven't gone along with it because I haven't seen Liverpool being legged all over the pitch. I've seen Liverpool just turn off and not do the simple things. And I know I'm beating the same drum as I did since last week, but that's genuinely what I've seen. I haven't looked at the game and went, you know what? We just couldn't get to the second ball. We were beaten to every second ball. We were ran past. I just haven't seen that. I've seen goals where we concede, where we go, it's really simple not to concede them goals. The only thing I would say, the one positive I will say is that it gives them a chance to look at teams a little bit more because, the argument going around is that teams have looked at Liverpool and can figure a way around us if they do A, B and C. Some of that's true. Some of it's actually down to, the person at Liverpool have had to play in certain positions and maybe, a drop in form. So I think it gives Slot and his staff a chance to look and go, right, let's have a really good look at West Ham here. Not, we're off the back of a PSG game. Say, for argument's sake, we played Villa in the Champions League this week. Had we got through, now let's look at West Ham. They've had a really good look at West Ham since last Monday or Tuesday morning. They'll know all about them. They'll know who's going to play. They'll know where they want to protect themselves, and they'll know where they want to try execute at the other end of the pitch to get the win. So there's positives and negatives to having only a week. Sometimes you can get in on players, over too much time to think. But sometimes players might just be able to say, yeah, you know what? Don't worry about it. Next Sunday, then next Sunday, then next Sunday. And to be fair, they only have to do 3 more days work when you think about it. If they do 3 really good days on the next 3 Sundays, they don't have to worry about anything else then. They can do whatever they like for the last 4 weeks. I've actively encouraged them drinking on the pitch for the last 4 league games if they want to. I'd encourage it. I'd be willing to put money into a GoFundMe to pay for it if they want. But yeah, look, there's like I said, positive and negatives to having a week off. But I just get the feeling it gives Slot that extra time to just put little things in place. And and look for certain patterns that he mightn't have been able to do with a heavy workload. And the 3 teams they're coming up against, you couldn't have handpicked them better, in my opinion. You know, West Ham played 4 games in March, didn't win one of them. You know, they haven't won a game in all of March. You look at Leicester, they're just off the scale, abysmal at this stage. They know they're going down. And you look at Spurs, and like the manager's having a fight with everyone. You know, Spurs manager cupped his ears to his own fucking fans last week. So like, you know what I mean? You couldn't handpick the better if you tried. So, do you know what we need? We need to go out on Sunday. We need to just put 3 points on the board, and everybody just buzzes off it for another week, and then gets on the same bus again and see where we go. That's what we need to do. We need to enjoy this more. We need to enjoy it more.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. I kind of feel like I'm ready for that mood shifter, because it has felt a little bit heavy. I mean, the Mo Salah news obviously plays a huge role in that, and I think that if that could be sort of mirrored by an equally jubilant performance on the pitch on Sunday, like that would really kind of get me bouncing into the rest of the season. And I mean, you mentioned that you didn't necessarily agree with Slot, or not with Slot, but you didn't necessarily agree with the narrative that the players were tired. Slot didn't seem to agree with that either, because his press conference, he was pretty adamant that there's actually been a lot of good things to work with this team going forward. And yeah, he addressed the errors that happened in that game. But he seems very positive in his outlook. He seems like there's a lot that he can kind of fix and work with, and hopefully he has done that over this week. The other thing that the week off has kind of let us do, Chris, is bring back a few players that have been missing. Specifically, Bradley was mentioned in the press conference, and Allison was mentioned in the press conference as both being fit and clear to start. How are you feeling about bringing both of those players back into the team? We already touched on Bradley a little bit, but both of them coming in, I think, is no bad thing.
I think it just brings a bit more stability. You've got a right back playing right back who also gives us that overlap option, which will allow Mo to cut inside. And no disrespect to Kelleher, but Allison's a level above. And I just think that brings a bit of calmness. And maybe that, you know, he can't help having a concussion, but maybe playing Jones at right back for a second game running, if you'd have had an Allison there, just a little bit more of a calmer head, maybe Konate's not trying to do too much. You know, it might also just get Konate just to focus on his own game a little bit more. So I just think it gives us a bit more balance. It then also gives us an option to refresh the midfield a bit more, because you are going to have one of Jones, Szoboszlai on the bench. So at least then you've got a fresh legs to bring on, rather than that, what we were doing is just moving Jones from right back into centre mid, and he moved him back to left back. You know, it kind of got a little bit all over the shop, really. But I'm not expecting masses of changes. I've got a feeling Slot's got his core 11, 13, and he's going to ride that core 11, 13 until it's officially the league's won. I think once the league's won, then he'll start experimenting then with Elliott's and Chiesas and alikes. I think before then, I think he's just going to go what he trusts. You know, I don't expect, and I know everyone thinks about Vendetta, I don't expect to see Simicast play until the league's won. I think the main back four will be the main back four now, and that'll be it. And I don't.
Do you want to run through your lineup, since we're sort of touching on that now? Just in terms of what you think our predicted lineup is going to be.
I think he'll stick with Allison. I think Allison will come back in. I think Bradley will replace Jones. The rest of the back four will stay the same. I think he'll go same midfield, and Jones will sit on the bench. And attack wise, I think he'll go say front three again. I could see an argument for Diaz in for Gakpo. So I think he'll go Diaz, Jota, and Salah. I think Jota will play all the home games, and I think away from home we'll look to do something a bit different. Because away from home it isn't working with Jota, but at home he'll try and play him into form. It's probably not the lineup that people will want, but I feel it'll be something along those lines.
Gav, do you tend to agree with Chris? Do you think that there's any call for perhaps Simicast coming in for Robertson after that poor performance that we saw at Fulham? Or do you think that with a week off, someone like a Robertson will be fully recharged and his leadership will really tell?
To be fair, when you look back at the Fulham game, Robertson has a fucking howler with that goal. What he's thinking, I'd love to ask him, like, look, what were you thinking? Like, what were you thinking? But he's not going to answer that. Robertson plays. He just will. Because when you look back at the game, Fulham don't cause Liverpool a massive amount of problems, apart from the ones Liverpool caused themselves, to be fair. And I think other than what he does there, which is quite fucking ridiculous in Robertson, I thought he was absolutely fine in the game. Other than that, he was absolutely fine. Genuinely, if he just opens his body and plays that down the wing, even if we lose the ball or not, we're not talking about Andy Robertson. We're not even giving him a second thought here for Sunday. I think he will play. I think his experience there, because he's possibly going to end up against Kudus, I think. And he's probably played against them, I think, before in the Champions League when Kudus was with Ajax, wasn't he? I think. The back four, I'm hoping Alisson comes in, because I think that he brings a stability to us. I think nothing against Caoimhín Kelleher. I think he's an excellent goalkeeper. I actually think he could play for the vast majority of the teams in this league as a number one. But I don't think it'd do any harm to Konate and to Van Dijk to know that Alisson's back behind them there. I just think it'd be a little settler. Bradley, fingers crossed, plays, because I just want a natural right back. Even if you told me it was somebody, any right back, I just want a natural right back in there for obvious reasons. The midfield one is interesting because when I look at West Ham, you're going to have your Souček and your Ward-Prowse sitting deep for me. Paqueta's slightly ahead of them. I don't know what he might do with like an Emerson one side with a Kudus the other and Bowen up front. McAllister and Gravenberch will play. The key here is, does he do Elliott instead of Szoboszlai? Simply for the tempo. I think Elliott's bringing much more tempo here to what's going on. But what I would say is, when you get a natural right back in, I think Szoboszlai excels. Because I think that triangle of him, Salah, and whoever the right back is, whether that's Bradley or Trent, I think that really, really shows for us, and we end up going heavy on the right hand side because of it. I wouldn't be against Elliott playing, simply because the spaces he finds, the fact that he drags to that right hand side, and will bring a Ward-Prowse or a Souček with him, to open up room in the middle of the park. I wouldn't be against Elliott playing, but I can't really argue with Chris when he says he'd probably go in with the same midfield. If it was me, I would play Elliott. All right, but I don't know what he's going to do. Up front, I think it's really difficult up front. I think Cody Gakpo's nailed on to start, because one thing Wan-Bissaka can do on the right hand side, if he's playing right hand side, is defend in one-on-ones. He's really good in one-on-ones. Wan-Bissaka's problem is defending balls that are crossed into the box. He fucking doesn't know what's going on, and that's where I think Gakpo might, instead of it being a tricky Diaz running at him and does he get much change out of him, I think Gakpo a little bit more physical and a little bit more of a guy at the back post finisher for Liverpool than a Diaz. I think that's where he might go with that. He'll play Salah, and I think he'll play Jota, and I think Diaz might miss out, and I actually feel sorry for him, because I made such a big point last week of saying, look how active Diaz and Bradley and Elliott were when they come on against Fulham, and I feel a bit sorry for Diaz, but I just think it's the sort of game where I think Gakpo, that physicality, I think he might just go with him.
But it wouldn't surprise you if he did Diaz as the 9 again, because that is the front three he's played the most. As much as people don't like, as much as we don't like Diaz as the 9, we kind of feel that.
The only thing is,
he might offer more than the other two, because the other two in the 9 are offering nothing at the moment.
I get that, but the only thing is, if you look at Everton and the way Everton's set up, and we're quite deep, Jota picks up the ball and scores against a really low block, and I think that's what might get Jota the little nod. But at the moment, I think Diaz is really unfortunate if he misses out on this game, but I think he might, just for Gakpo's physicality on the left hand side. I'm not against what you said there, by the way, that Diaz plays in the 9, but that means if Diaz is going to play in the 9, you need somebody playing off him that has tempo and movement and is incisive in what they're doing. I don't think Szoboszlai has done that enough. He works so hard, he's good on the ball, but you need somebody that's going to just try pick passes and take risks. And I don't think Szoboszlai has done that enough. So if you're playing Diaz, I think there's more of an argument then that you play Elliott. But That's what I would do. But Chris said at the very start he'd probably just go with what he knows, and the chances are he will.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing with Diaz
is this time of the year, don't they?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, this time of the year when it's a title running, whether it's Slot, Klopp, Ferguson, Mourinho, when they get to like March, they just run 13 lads until they know it's won, and then they start rotating. I think that's just how naturally it works, just for the rhythm. So, the only thing I'd like to see him do is maybe do subs a little earlier, or maybe change the subs around. Like, for me at the moment, Darwin should be 6th choice attacker. So whoever you start up front, the front three, Diaz or Joss is the next one off the bench, and if he still needs someone with 15 minutes to go, give Chiesa 15, 20 minutes, because Darwin, the last 2 or 3 times we've thrown him on, it's like he's not been on the pitch. He's like been a passenger. So he's making no impact. Whereas Chiesa, I know they're only 5-minute spells, but in those 5-minute spells, he at least works the keeper.
Yeah, you see, a lot of people think when you play like West Ham and they'll have, is it Tadibo? Is that your man's name, or Tabido?
Yeah. Tadibo at the back.
Kilman, and then they have I want to say Janakopoulos, but that's not his name. That was the fella that played for.
His name is Scarles, and then there's Wan-Bissaka at the other side.
Yeah, and then if they end up playing a 3 at the back, them 3 are going to try to remain as narrow as they can. So it's going to end up a game where Ward-Prowse, Souček, Elliott, if he plays, Bradley and Salah will have their own game of football out on the right wing, and then whatever materialises out of that, we'll see what comes in. But the natural thing to try to do is put it in the box. Do you know what I mean? Are these 3 any use? But they'll just love to stay narrow and do that. But you can't just put it in the box. You have to start playing around them, and that's where I think that's Mavropanos is the guy's name. I can't pronounce his name. Liverpool can't fall into this trap where they just think, we put it in the box, we put it across the box. The intricate football has to be played, and to do that, you have to trust yourself. I have no problem with if a Chiesa comes on. I've actually no problem if a Darwin Núñez comes on, because let's be fair, Chiesa, Núñez, Jota, they're much of a muchness in terms of return this season. They're much of a muchness, For me, it's all a case of who can take a chance, who can find the pass, and who is the movement, and whoever that might be, so be it. But they'll all be available on Sunday. I don't know how West Ham hold out. That's why I'm trying to put it. If Liverpool are intent on playing quick football, I don't know how West Ham hold out here.
I hope that's what we see. I hope we see the quick football. I mean, I think you guys have each made a good case for Gakpo and possibly for Diaz. The thing with Diaz is that he's technically our in-form striker, in that he's scored and he's assisted in each of his last 4 games, which is more than perhaps Mo Salah has been able to do. And I think a lot of that has been the fact that Mo Salah has been quite isolated, and teams have really figured out a way to kind of double up on him and keep him quiet. Chris, do you think that Slot will maybe have come up with a plan to cope with that? Do you think that plan is just simply have Bradley pass him the ball a little bit more and have those neat little triangles? I guess that's one of the reasons why I could see him maybe leaning more toward a Szoboszlai, just because that seems to be his comfort blanket, than maybe risking an Elliott from the get-go. I don't think Elliott has any starts this season in the Premier League. So for me, the idea that Elliott starts feels a little bit far-fetched, even though, according to the eye test, I 100% agree with you in that he's brought more to the table and Szoboszlai has looked kind of more tired than anyone else. Do you think that Slot has had enough time to formulate a plan on the pitch with training and with the team to maybe get the best out of Mo Salah this weekend? And do you expect to change this weekend? Because I don't think that he's gone 4 games without a goal and assist, as Gav mentioned, since 2019, I believe. So I'm hoping for a change, Chris. Are you feeling the same?
Yeah, I think what Bradley gives you, which the other guys at fullback don't give you, because it's not their game. To be fair, they're playing out of position, is he does give the overlap so Mo can cut inside and get close to the goal, which suits him. But he also, which is underrated in his game, is he's very good at this 1-2 underlap, which we saw for the Diaz goal, and we've seen him do that before. And he just creates a bit more space. Which, to be fair, before he got injured, Trent was doing the same thing.
Yeah,
I just think natural right backs who are comfortable either side just give more space, and it's just a different dynamic. Whereas I think it's been a combination of a perfect storm for Salah. He has gone through Ramadan, and I'm sure that does have an impact, because it changed of your eating habits because you can eat when it's dark, and then not having a natural right back, so it means people can almost like give them the ball because they're not going to hurt them as much, and then the lad on the left hand side and number 9 just aren't informing, aren't as threatening. So it almost makes it easier because we've got just double up on Mo and we'll take a risk with the other two because the other two aren't going to hurt us. And that's kind of been the case at the moment.
The big thing here is Cody Gakpo. If Cody Gakpo's back and if Cody Gakpo's back match fit, sharp, it's a whole new element of Liverpool because I think he's Liverpool's second top scorer this season. Cody Gakpo.
He is. Yeah, we've missed him.
Yeah, and I think it's the way he pins fullbacks physically. We can pop her up to him, and he can win headers. He can take it down. He when it comes to fullbacks and Diaz, you can kind of go, right, I'm going to let him wander out there, and when he gets it, I'll just, stand him up, let someone come to help me. Gakpo feels a bit more like a striker playing wide. And don't get me wrong, his best position is wide as a winger, but he feels like a striker. He feels like he just offers a different dimension. And someone said there, tapping in at the far post. But the amount of times I've watched Gakpo and went, Jesus Christ, he's manhandling this fullback. And he actually does it in the League Cup. I think he might get it. I think he gets two against West Ham in the League Cup.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of thing that we need. Because if you're watching Liverpool at the moment, you're thinking, right, Diaz will run at you and do this, but the guy in the middle isn't on form. Is Diaz going to do it on his own? Not really. How easy is it going to be for Diaz to get it to Salah? Well, not that easy because we're cutting off Salah. You need someone to be a threat, and I don't even mean in the sense of I want him to go by 5 players and I want him to bend one in the top corner. I want him to be a threat in the sense that ball's going up to him, he's going to make it stick, and the threat starts from there. He starts to link and play. He has that kind of eye for goal. I just think he is huge for Liverpool at the moment, especially with the form the others are in. If you get Gakpo sharp, it gives another element to Liverpool, and it means then that you can't, as an opposition, throw everything you have at Mo Salah and go, listen, them two over there and playing well. Don't worry about it. You kind of have to start doubling up on Cody Gakpo, and that frees up. It just makes sense that it frees up room for other people. So, I know what Ashley is saying with regards to being a bit far-fetched with Elliott, but the only way it's far-fetched is if Liverpool come out and play with a tempo and an intent. And the mistakes come from Liverpool sleepwalking through games. Passing, going back, passing. And I've no problem if you do that, if you're making other teams run. But then you're able to go, boom, we're going to click now, and we're going to do the same pattern 5 times. But at a certain point of that pattern, we're going to change it and we're going to try hurt you. And Liverpool haven't looked like that for me. And what happens is teams just get really comfortable in what they're doing and then feel they can go and attack Liverpool. And Liverpool have stopped taking the momentum out of sides simply by the fact that the pace they're playing at. I'm not asking to be swashbuckling Jurgen Klopp, gegenpressing, heavy metal. I'm not asking for that. But a little bit of intent, a little bit where, West Ham feel like there's danger when Liverpool get into their final third. It hasn't really been there for Liverpool in the last little bit. And if they change that, and maybe the rest helps, I think everything will look after itself, because that's all that's missing from Liverpool. It's genuinely, that's when I watch them, I just think, lads, can we please just take not even more risks, but can we fizz a pass into someone? It's all in front and it's all kind of getting a bit lax. I think if we up the tempo a little bit, I think Liverpool will be absolutely fine. And I think Cody Gakpo plays a massive part in that. But that's why I think Elliott might get a look. Because if he's looking at them during the week and he's going, are they a half a yard off it? Is it a little bit mundane what we're trying here? He might look at Elliott and go, yeah, you know what? He's done really well when he's come on. He's actually linking up really well. He He might be the spark for Salah. We don't know, but I still go back to what Chris said at the start. Same 11, put them on the pitch, and he believes in them.
It seems to be the trend with him. I mean, there could be something left field. I do not know. If Gakpo's fit, I think that is definitely something to consider because we've definitely missed his goals. I think I'm hoping for the intensity to come back. I think that what you're saying with the tempo, intensity, kind of, they're two of the same thing. I think that we've looked a little bit lax. We've looked like our pressing hasn't quite been there. We haven't been first to a tackle. I want that kind of bite back into our game. And we've seen it in second halves recently where, we've kind of gone off the boil a little bit in the first half. Slot's been able to get in there, have a talk, and we've seen them come out in the second half. But unfortunately, sometimes, as of recently, we've been a little bit too far behind in order to make that jump. So that's what I'm hoping to see. I'm just hoping to see that kind of general intensity come back into our game. Chris, kind of, the rules in terms of making predictions. Why don't you throw out your goal prediction, your goal scorers for this weekend, and let us know what you think is going to happen.
I'll go 3-1. Salah double, Gakpo, and Bowen for them.
Okay. Gav?
4-0 Liverpool.
I prefer that one.
I usually put the other team down to score, but I just think Liverpool have a point to prove here. They were beaten last weekend. They've been a little bit off it, and I don't know how much change there is in this West Ham side. I don't even know where they are in the league. I presume they're nowhere near relegation and they're nowhere near Europe. I'm going to put it out there that they're probably around 14.
I think they're around 16.
They're probably somewhere around there.
They've got no chance of Europe, put it that way.
Yeah, and they've no chance of going down. I think if Liverpool...
They're 16th.
Yeah, I think if Liverpool score... First goal is always crucial, but Liverpool West Ham games, when Liverpool get in front, invariably it takes them a little bit while to get second, and then they just open up on them, and that's what I'd love to see. And I said at the very start of the show, we should be enjoying it more. Look, who doesn't enjoy a 4-0 at home on a Sunday with 7 games to go? So that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to go 4-0 Liverpool. I think Jota starts, so I think he scores. And I'm going to say Virgil scores as well. I don't think we're looking enough.
Does the signing contract celebration?
Yeah, maybe something like that. I think Pappy in the chat says Kanate will score, and I actually had Kanate in my head. Will I go with him?
I mean, it would be nice for him to have a bit of a redemption arc after last weekend.
Salah, Jota. Go on, I'll go with Pappy. I'll go Kanate instead. I'll go Kanate, Jota, Salah. I'd love to see Chiesa going. I really would. Chiesa.
Okay. I am feeling like we're going to probably lock down the defense.
I thought you could say something else.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that will make us feel more secure. I'm going to go 2-0. I think that we're going to win comfortably, but it's going to not feel comfortable because we all sort of want more. I agree. I think that Jota might start. I think he might score, and then I think Mo Salah will score, and he'll do his sort of like arms out celebration sitting on that side of the pitch with the story continues underneath him. I would love that sort of imagery. Or he could just take his shirt off, and that would be fine too. So,
of course it would actually. Well, if we're going down that route, right? I hope Ronald Koeman comes out of the Anfield Road end with a load of red baubles. I'm still going with this. I done it the other night. Ronald Koeman comes out and plants a Christmas tree on the centre circle and puts a load of red baubles on it. If Salah scores, that's all I want. I just want Ronald Koeman involved.
Do you know what I'd rather?
Fantastic is if there was a video of Virgil like going out into the forest, like trying to find a Christmas tree in the middle of April and like lugging it back to Liverpool and then like putting it in place for his son.
Absolute contract signing porn that would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, like, I would love that.
Yeah, just going out and looking for his own Christmas tree.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can top that for the rest of the show. I will ask, though, there are a couple of games coming up this weekend. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any that you have your eye on? I think that all of us are obviously going to be looking at Arsenal-Brentford tomorrow. There's a Newcastle-Man United game that looks kind of juicy. I think Bournemouth and Fulham might be a good matchup. Is there anything that stands out to you, Chris?
Chelsea women versus Liverpool women in the FA Cup semi-final. That is 12:15 tomorrow. Which
12:15 tomorrow. I am.
Which I'm both excited and dreading, but it's a chance to get to Wembley.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
Did you mention Newcastle? Did you say Newcastle and United? Or not?
Newcastle United.
Yeah, that's probably the one because
that'll be a good game.
To be fair, I'm so all in on watching Onana in goal. I can't get enough of this guy.
I don't know if that Matic
my boss in work.
There was a great little caption that said like "I told you so" from Matic.
Oh yeah, that was completely made up, but yeah, it was fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah,
it would be fantastic if it was real.
No, it's definitely not real, but it was
fantastic.
It was good. Yeah, I'm really.
My boss in work as a United fan, and he basically went as soon as all that Onana talk came out, and he opened his mouth in back of my head going, "He better play well." Said, "Oh, this is going to be horrendous," and he just went, "I just knew it." He said, "I could just see this car crash coming, that he was going to balls up for both goals."
Oh, I just can't get enough.
Especially of the first one. The
second one was terrible.
They're both awful.
The second one is straight at him, and he just palms it out, and then the guy just chips it out. He's fucking horrendous.
Good finish actually for the second one.
It was a good finish, but what? Like, it's straight down your goalkeeper.
Next year.
You know what I mean?
If they have him next year, like, I don't know.
Listen,
I don't know what
the second goal.
Who's going to buy it?
I've seen toddlers fall onto footballs better than Onana for that second goal. Do you know when a toddler goes to get a ball and the whole body goes onto the football and they roll around on the thing because the ball's clearly too big for them? Like, that's literally what he could have done. And instead he just went, "Oh, Jesus, get that ball away from me." And just literally pushes it out onto the 6-yard line. But I'm all for watching him just to see what happens.
It's entertaining. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Isaac face up against Onana. I think that'll be a good matchup.
Yeah,
I think the writing's on the wall for United. I don't know. I don't know if Europe's going to save their season, but they didn't look like there was any salvation in those performances.
I don't even know who's left in that competition. So, is there anybody big in that competition? Oh, Bilbao are in it, aren't they? I think
Frankfurt is in it. Lyon is in it. Rangers are in it.
Bodo Glimt.
Spurs are in it.
Who beat Lazio 2-0.
I don't know. I mean, whenever Spurs and Man United are the two favorites for a competition, I think you know that maybe it's not the competition to watch. But you know.
Yeah, it's time to wind it up, lads. This isn't working. That's where you need to go with that competition.
At least we've heard of them. Good luck in the Conference League.
Oh yeah, the crack, isn't it?
I'm excited to see who's going to get into those spots because I think it was confirmed this week that England will be getting that 5th place, which also consequently means that Liverpool is guaranteed a Champions League spot because I think with the goal difference, there's no way that City could feasibly catch us. I think that'll be a good watch going into the rest of the season. There's definitely a few teams in and around that 5, 6, 7 that I think do have a chance of really, really pushing until the end of the season.
It's going to be Liverpool, Arsenal. I think Forest definitely get in.
I think so, yeah.
I think it's going to be Liverpool, Arsenal, Forest, City, Newcastle. That's what I think it'll end up in. But then again, Villa are on a great run, and Chelsea.
Chelsea are mad.
Chelsea are mad, but like they probably, if they're mad, if they can put 4 games together here before the end of the season, they probably make it. It's going to get. It's 100% going down to the last day. I can't see a world where it's not going down to the last day.
But I think the longest winning streak in the Premier League this year has been Liverpool and Palace on 4 wins in a row. That's the longest winning streak anyone's had. We've done long run undefeated, but
Yeah.
for the most of it, one of these 4. I think Arsenal have only won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And as people are getting excited about Arsenal, they were talking for chat saying Arsenal in great form. I'd look at their form for the last 6 games: 1-2, drawn 3, lost 1.
Yeah.
But
the other wild card is the fact that Newcastle have that game in hand, which they'll be playing midweek. And that game in hand could leapfrog them into 4th.
Yeah.
Depending on results this weekend.
It's 100% going down to the last game. I just can't see. I can't see, 2 of those teams around there. Like, you're looking at probably a top 7 at the minute, aren't you? Where they're all hovering. I just can't see 2 of them falling away considerably enough that it doesn't go to the last day. I wouldn't write off Villa. Villa are on a great run at the minute. I know they're beaten during the week, but in the Champions League, but they're on a really good run, Villa. And Emery, he has the stones to do it. He just does. Nothing phases that man, Newcastle might get a bit wobbly. Like you said, Chelsea are a bit mad. Forest have just been brilliant, from where they've come from. I think they've been brilliant, and they definitely deserve to get it. They really do, and it's going to be a really good race. And that's what's going to become your narrative. If Liverpool win the next 3 league games, that's everything's going to go on the Champions League, and quite rightfully it should, because that's all that's really to play for. The other end of the table is done and dusted as well for me. So there you go.
Excellent. All right. Well, I like that. I like that there's still some. I mean, everyone's kind of talking about a non-competitive Premier League. I think it's actually going to be quite competitive going into that last game for those top 5 spots. It is now. Before we go, I just wanted to kind of draw everyone's attention to the fact that you guys had just filmed a forward-thinking show on Patreon, and we do have a couple of Patreon shows that are coming up this weekend. We have the Final 20 tomorrow, where we kind of go over those 3 o'clock games, the last 20 minutes. We're going to have our reaction from that. And then we'll have our usual match reaction that's free on Sunday, and then we'll have our regular Sunday show as well. But there are more shows coming on Patreon next week, so if that's something that you're interested in, there is a link down below that you can click, and it'll redirect you to our Patreon. We have lots of new subscribers, which is very exciting. But going along with the idea of forward thinking, I just want to close the show. Chris, can you give me your 4 words for Mo Salah before we go and leave for tonight? Gav, you're going to go next, so you can have this moment to decide on your 4 words.
Ooh. Our greatest right winger.
Okay.
It's hard to do 4.
It is, isn't it? And we do it quite a bit. Mo Salah, 4 words for Mo Salah. A real Liverpool legend. I think he is. Do you know what I think? Actually, I was thinking of today. By signing that contract, I think he's signed himself into one of the all-time Liverpool greats. Genuinely, I do.
Oh, because it should have been.
It'd be 10 years. He'd be 10 years at the football club.
Go ahead, you can make an edit, Chris. Go ahead.
Other than Mo Salah.
Making an edit.
It should be other than Mo Salah. Because everything's always other than Mo Salah.
Yeah.
Because
no, I genuinely do.
There'll be plenty of only Mo Salah has ... more of whatever.
Yeah.
Listen, I think the fact that he's what he's done for Liverpool already, I think he goes down as one of the greats for Liverpool. And people will say, "Oh, well, that's recently, boys." It's not. It's just not. The numbers he's putting up, the things he's won, he goes down as an absolute Liverpool great. I think the fact that he signed that and brings them to, which will be more or less 10 years at the football club.
It will be 10 years.
I think it actually just, it absolutely puts it, he absolutely solidifies himself as an all-time great of Liverpool. I think people could have thrown at him, well, he left then. When Klopp left, he left. And, I think people could have thrown that at him. But the fact that he's went, no, fine, another 2 years, I think it just puts him up right at the top. He has, and even when you listen to former players talking about him, he right at the top, and there's more to come from him. Genuinely, there's way more to come from him, I think.
Third third at
There's a
Newtown.
few honorable mentions in there about more in than out. The King lives on. Get him his statue. I think I'm going to go with Liverpool's 10-season wonder for mine.
Not bad.
And I think that we'll leave it there. I think just keeping that positive note, Mo Salah signing that extra 2-year extension today, really just kicking off what will hopefully be a very good weekend for the Reds. We will be back tomorrow, like I said, for that final 20 on Patreon. And then for anyone that's just on YouTube, we will be back on Sunday for our full match reaction following the game. So I hope you guys all have a really wonderful evening, and let's just hope that it's up the Reds for this weekend. I think that there's, good things to come. So everyone have a really good night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.